right now in the mid to low 40s. So we're about 8 to 10 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, and we'll stay in the 40s as we head into this afternoon. Satellite and radar, we're just seeing mostly cloudy skies, but down into the Outer Banks, we are seeing a few showers over there right now, but most of us are dry. Could be seeing a few showers around Edenton. But as we head into this afternoon, highs will only be around 45 degrees today, so about 10 degrees below average. But we could see a few showers, like I was saying, down into our southern areas around the Admiral Sound into eastern North Carolina. But this weekend is looking really nice. 60 degrees on Saturday. Could see a little bit of fog in the morning, but we'll stay mostly sunny as we head into this afternoon. And another nice day on Sunday as well, right around 60 degrees. So it'll be looking really nice. But here's a look at our futurecast. You'll notice a few showers around eastern North Carolina as we get into this afternoon. Drying out for this evening. It'll be a chilly Friday night, getting into the low 40s. But as we head into our Saturday morning, it'll be a dry start to the day, 50 degrees around 10 o'clock, a good amount of sunshine. And then we'll get into the upper 50s, right around 60 for the afternoon. Sun sticks around, dropping into the mid to low 40s by Saturday night. And then on Monday evening, Monday night, there's the potential to see some rain, maybe a little bit of a wintry mix as well. GFS is saying more in the way of snow and mix. The Euro model is saying more rain rather than snow, and that's an update from yesterday. The European model now kind of saying, I think it's just going to be a bit warmer than expected, so I think we're just going to see more rain rather than snow. The GFS saying it's going to be cooler, so we could see some snow and some mixing. I think it'd be more on the rainy side with some wet snowflakes mixing on in, but it's just something to watch over the next couple of days, and not looking like it's going to be anything significant, just more of a nuisance. But after that, as we head into the first week of March, towards the end of the first week into the second week, the 7th through the 13th, it's looking like we're going to see some well above average temperatures, not just for 1 or 2 days, but 4, 5, maybe even 6 days in a row of some much warmer temperatures. So that is something to look forward to. But for today, we'll stay mostly cloudy in the mid 40s. A few isolated showers down in our southern areas. And then overnight tonight, we're in the mid to upper 30s, around 36 in Norfolk tonight. A few areas of some patchy fog possible. 38 in Cape Charles, 37 in Matthews tonight, 41 in Hertford, 42 degrees in Manio. And then again tomorrow, it's looking great for the weekend. 60 degrees, a pleasant start, mostly sunny skies. But then by Sunday, March 1st, can you believe it, 60 degrees? And then we stay much cooler on Monday. But then we gradually warm up by the middle and end of next week, eventually getting back into the low 60s by Thursday.
Not bad at all, man. I am really looking forward to this weekend, especially after the stretch that we've had over the last several weeks or month or so and all the rain yesterday. So there's plenty of activities that are going to be happening this weekend in Newport News. The One City Marathon events start tonight with the new kickoff for their they're having a crawl tonight from 5 to 9 there in the Mariners Way area. And then, of course, the race is tomorrow. So they're going to have really good weather for that event this weekend.
For sure. It's going to be great.
All right, Hunter, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We did the hit quick there when it came to the forecast because we do want to get you out to Georgia. Again, Colin Gray is currently defending himself on the stand in his own trial. This as the father is accused of having some form of knowledge that something could have been wrong with his son prior to him giving him a assault-style weapon for Christmas months before his son allegedly went and shot and killed 4 people, injured several others at Appalachia High School there in Georgia. Again, the father is, in this case, standing trial for his own charges, but it includes second-degree murder and 28 other counts that he is currently facing. He can spend many years in prison if found guilty. The defense rested its case yesterday. The prosecution rested its case yesterday, and now we have Colin Gray on the stand. Let's go ahead and listen in live to him defending himself.
What I was thinking, but also as this time frame was moving along, we were getting further and further behind, and I knew that. And I got to a point in 8th grade where it's like, man, I don't know if he can catch up, right? So I had a conversation with Colt originally and said, listen, Colt and I were at dinner one night, and he said, so what would you think about taking 8th grade over again? And I had a two-pronged attack there on that. I didn't think that he was far enough ahead in 8th grade. And I didn't want him to come out of the gates behind in high school. You know, we're already kind of bumpy in school with him. And I thought if he could retake the 8th grade, that would put Jenny in the same grade as Colt. And they were close. They had a great relationship. Would they be in the same classes? Maybe. I don't know. But they would be in the same school with the ultimate goal that they could kind of confide in one another, get through school together. And the bigger piece was if they went through 8th grade together, they would go into high school together, and they would make that 4-year journey together through high school. That was my train of thought, right? It was never that I'm going to damn if he goes to 8th grade. That's not what happened here. It was very, very fluid kind of thing, trying to make sure I was, and listen, could I have done better? Yes, I could have done better. I could have done more. I see that now. But the overall goal here was just get him in a comfort zone place. And it got to that point where I thought, okay, well, I had to retake a grade. This would be great. If he could just go take the 8th grade again with Jenny, they could help each other and they could move through high school together. So that was the thought process.
All right. Now, was there a time that Colt went down to Fitzgerald to stay with his mother where he got into an altercation with her?
Yes. So that would be that summer time frame. I don't have the dates here in front of me. I just know that Debbie, and this was the time frame when Debbie came up and they took his computer, packed up a bunch of his stuff, and he went down there to stay. He was kind of missing Jenny and wanted to hang out with Manu. And so Manu had called me. There was actually 2 that I know of. It's the only 2 that I was ever made aware of. The first one was Debbie had called me and said that Marcy had slapped Colt across the face really hard. They were arguing. I don't know what about it was not there. She just said it was an ugly argument. And I never hit my kids. There's multiple reasons for that. So Debbie said that DFAX was called. I didn't know if she had called or who had called. Ultimately, I find out that it was Annie that had called DFAX in the first episode of the slap, right? So I had talked to Colt and said, listen, you're okay? What happened? He said, we just had a knockdown, drag out kind of argument. Mom was drinking and just, she just slapped me. And I said, Mama was there. She was standing right there. Okay. That was the first episode. The second one,
Did he ever tell you in that first episode that he broke a window on a door?
He hadn't broken the window or done the damage that we've heard about in court here yet. I believe my time frame was all of that happened after the second episode with Marcy. And it was, of all things, over chicken nuggets. And what Debbie had called me again and said that she didn't get Colt the right order from McDonald's. And I guess Colt smart-alecked her about, you didn't give me the right stuff or whatever. And Debbie said, and Marcy lost it. Her words were, she attacked Colt, and she said just started hitting on Colt a lot, hitting him wherever she could hit him. And that I had talked to Colt about that. He said she hit me in the face, she hit me and I said, over chicken nuggets. He's like, Dad, I could smell the alcohol on her. She was screaming, just out of control kind of stuff. And I said, okay, do you want me to come get you? And she was like, no, I'm going to go. He said, I'm going to stay with Mammoth, which when the kids and everybody went down there, they weren't, I know we heard that they were living with her. Now, little Coley did stay with her. But Jenny and Colt, when they went to Fitzgerald, they stayed with Debbie, in their house. That was their place. So I asked him, do you want me to come get you? He said, no, I'm just going to go back to Mammoth's and just stay away from her. So it was after that time frame where my understanding was he was breaking the windows. I didn't know about the couch thing until after I went down there to pick him up, and I received a call one day at work from him, middle of the day, and he was in tears, and I'm like, what is wrong? He said he had another falling out with his mother. He said, I slammed the door and broke the window, and it escalated from there. He didn't tell me about him cutting up the couch, or, it's kind of unclear who really did that. One says the other wasn't down there. He said, I just need you to come get me right now. And I said, well, where are you? He said, out behind the house, just kind of staying on this little dirt road. And I said, well, it's going to be 4.5 hours before I can get there, but I'll come get you. He said, Papa Charlie, which is Debbie's husband, he said, Papa Charlie called the police on me. And I said, for what? And he said, because when I broke the window, they said I cut the couch up. And I said, did you cut the couch up? He said, I tore part of the top of the couch off. He said, but they're saying I sliced it all up and broke these windows. He said, I slammed the door and broke one window above the doorknob. He said, and Papa Charlie showed up with Ben Hill County Police and wanted to take me to jail, basically. He said, and the police officer was telling Colt that he couldn't act like this and disrespect his mama, grandparents, and if he couldn't get it calmed down, that he would ultimately take him to YDC or whatever. And Colt was upset about that and asked me, hey, did you just come down here and get me and bring me back home?
And did you do that?
I did.
Did you go down that same day?
That's that day.
And do you remember about what month that was?
I don't remember exactly what month that was.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, did you find that Marcy had been put into rehab?
I did. So the rehab came after I'd picked Colt back up. And we were kind of resuming what I was just talking about, trying to get him.
Now, the other two children were not with you at that
Still down
point.
there.
It was just you and Colt. Okay.
And Jenny was living with Debbie. She had taken over her mom's old room and whatnot. That's where she resided every day. Coley was in and out. He just kind of goes with the flow kind of kid. And little Coley and Marcy were together a lot. Colt and I were back up here, and that's when I received a call. I think when I was talking to Investigator Smith, I said 2 a.m. I got the phone call. I actually, thinking back on that, I think it was 10-ish because I knew 4 hours would take me 2 hours. We wouldn't be there until 2 in the morning. So got a call from the DFAC's case manager and said, I need you to come down and pick up the children. Wouldn't get into why. Just said that they were in danger. I explained to her where I lived, how long it would take me to get there. She stated, well, can you just be down there at 7:30 the next morning? We'll meet at a church down the road from their house, and we'll all go there together. I I asked her, I needed to know what this was about. She said, I can't until we go over some paperwork, logistics stuff, and then I'll explain it to everybody all at once. I still did not know. In my mind, I thought as much drinking that she had been doing, I was like, oh, she had DUI before. I'm like, oh, she got a DUI, probably had cold in the car. That was my original thought. So, drove down there the next morning, Colt and I did, talked about what we thought this might be, and met the DFACS lady, went to Debbie's house, that's where she was with the kids, knocked on the door, went in, we all sat down, the kids were in the bedroom, so they weren't a part of the conversation. Actually find out later that Colt and Jenny had cracked the bedroom door and were listening to the whole conversation. And she said, listen, she said there had been a call made to DFACS, and I find out later that it was Annie, the little sister that had called DFACS, made a complaint that she was driving drunk or acting recklessly with little Coley in the car, something along the lines of to where they needed a hair follicle test her. And so she's reading off the timeline of when they did the hair follicle test. I didn't even know that took place. Apparently it took place a week or so, maybe two, before I got the call from DFACS that night. And she went through the whole process of we hair follicle tested you, and here are the results.
Okay. And at that point, you took the other two children with you?
Correct. She stated that I was to take all of the children back, that Marcy could have visitation as long as it was supervised. At that point, I asked by who. I wasn't sure if it was DFACS. She said, no, you will be the one supervising, and you are the one that says when she can come and when she can't come. She cannot just show up. This has to be agreed upon time and whatnot, so I took the kids back.
Were you prepared to have three children live with you at that point?
No, I said this in passing to so many people. I hear people talk about single moms and whatnot and all the things they go through. And as a dad, I was fortunate enough just to get up and go to work. And you think is what I'm doing, like that's the hardest thing in the world, to get up and go to work. As much as I was working, it paled in comparison to what a single parent has to go through with one kid, let alone three. So I underestimated the effort and everything that it took to just keep everything afloat with three kids, let alone all the ins and outs and things that happen with kids every single day. It was a lot more than I could ever imagine it being, and I underestimated that greatly.
Now, was there a time when Marcy called you and threatened to kill you and Colt?
So that day, I originally got a call from Annie, the little sister, and I believe I was cooking breakfast or dinner. And because I know I was cooking something, because I had the phone laying on the counter, I hit the speaker and like, hey, and she's crying. I'm like, oh, what's wrong? You okay? Her original statement was, we can't find my mama. I'm like, what do you mean you can't find your mama? They're in Virginia. Like, they're all up there. Charlie's in some golf tournament. She's like, no, she came back early. I'm like, well, then she's at the house. She's like, no. She's like, we can't find her. I'm like, well, how long have you been looking? She's like, since yesterday. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, okay, have you called the police or anything? Like, is something wrong? In my mind, I'm thinking, God, what's going to happen to her medically, like heart attack or something. She's like, I've got the neighbor going over to beat on the door. Mary Beth is their neighbor, or whatever they grew up with. And if she doesn't answer, she's just going to go in the house. And I'm like, well, call me back. Let me know if they find it. You know. So Colt was like, what do you mean they can't, find her? I was like, I don't know. But I said, you just heard everything I heard.
Now, were the other two children with you at this point?
Yes, they were with me.
Okay.
So she called back sometime later, I don't know exactly the time frame, and says, Mary Beth is in the house, and they found Mom. They found them, and I'm like, okay, great, is she okay? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean no? Is she in the hospital? What's going on? She said, no. She said, Marcy had taped her to the chair in their office. And then not only taped her to the chair, left her there for a couple of days. They found her with soiled pants, and she just basically had to go to the restroom, whatever, just take her to the chair. And she had taken one of the dog leashes out of the backyard and tied the chair to the sleeper sofa behind her so she couldn't scoot to the phone to call 911.
I'm going to object to the litany of things that he wasn't even there to know about.
Do you have a response, Mr. Perry?
I'll try to redirect, Judge.
I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you.
Check.
But was there a time when you found out that Marcy threatened to kill you and Cole?
After what I was just trying to say right there, she went through what condition she found her mother, and she said that she had told her mother that she was coming up here, wanted her car and money or a credit card, and her mother asked her why, and she said, I'm going up to Winder to kill Cole. And I'm like, to kill me? And Marcy said, yes, she's coming up there to kill you. And she said, she told Mama, meaning Debbie, and since Colt is your favorite, I'm going to kill him too, and you live with that. So that on that day is the first time I heard that threat.
And did Cole know that?
He heard it on speakerphone while we were talking.
Okay. Now, Debbie went to jail for a few months. Was there any contact that you had with Debbie during that time? Not Debbie, I'm sorry. Marcy. Marcy had gone to jail. Was there any contact that you had with her when she was in custody?
Right, so originally I did not. And as time went along, Debbie had come up to talk, in Bethlehem, and explained to me what she had went through and what condition Marcy was in and how she was acting, and just felt like whatever she was taking just wasn't Marcy. She was just had lost her mind. That was her statement, I believe.
Did you want to try to bring the family back together,
Yeah,
even though she had gone to jail?
Yeah, so during that time period, Debbie and I talked about, her being in jail, and Debbie felt like, felt bad that all that had happened, and that, maybe somewhere along the line she could have seen Marcy, acting and doing the things she was doing while she was down there. I wouldn't say felt bad for her being in jail, but just kind of a little down because her daughter was locked up. My kids were obviously upset. Cole and Jenny had talked about it. I'm not really sure how Cole got brought into that conversation, but generally known in our house that she was in jail. I try to keep the super negative stuff away from little Cole, just because he's obviously too young to understand. And I thought, man, I just hate that all this happened for her, and the kids were like, well, we're going to lose our mom kind of thing. And at some point I just was like, I don't want my kids to think that I'm just going to walk away from their mom. She's the mother of my children. And I didn't condone, obviously, what she did or anything like that, but I thought I could use the time when, and Marcy reached out, I think, through the jail kind of connection thing, and I think she called me the first time and had apologized for everything. Said, she was, I think her comment was, I took a whole bunch of painkillers and I was high on meth.
We need to take a quick break, but we're going to come back to much more there live in the trial against Colin Gray. You can hear right now they're talking about a Marcy Gray. That's the mother of their son, Colt Gray. That's the teenage boy who is accused of a mass shooting at a Georgia high school, Appalachian High School, back in 2024. We will be right back here in just a few moments with more live from the courtroom. Welcome back. We're going to take you back live to Georgia, where a trial is underway right now in the case against Colin Gray, the father of Colt Gray, who at 14 years old is accused of shooting and killing 4 people at Appalachian High School outside of Atlanta in Georgia and injuring several others in 2024. Colin Gray is the one who's on trial, though, accused of nearly 30 counts, including second-degree murder. Prosecutors saying that he gave his son an assault-style weapon months before that shooting, although knowing that his son had documented history or concerns of mental health issues, and with his son having photographs of the Parkland High School mass shooter Nicholas Cruz in his room. Already, several people have testified in this case, including the boy's mother, Marcy Gray, who just moments ago the defense was asking the father questions about her, including whether or not there was a situation in which they say she, quote, said that she was heading to harm the two of them. That was the last questioning we heard prior to us having to take a break, so we go back to the courtroom so you can listen to Colin Gray defend himself.
Hit me in the side. I got his arms together and till he calmed down.
Okay.
Held him in place. The second time that this had happened, we were having a discussion about he thought he needed to take the Zoloft that his mom had given him, and I disagreed with that. So we had a kind of heated conversation about yes or no, and I told him I don't want this. We need to go see somebody. This is not like taking aspirin. This is different. He was pissed because he'd been taking it from her for, I don't know, a number of weeks, and he felt like it was helping him and whatnot, and didn't understand why I would not give it to him. So that was the second time that we had that argument. And the third time, it was about moving his bedroom into the laundry room and separating him from his computer to the laundry room. Same type of thing. He would, he never really would challenge me face to face. And in this last episode, I remember like, hey, I want you away from your computer. I just bought him, he had his computer torn apart in his bedroom, and he was pissed because I was making him move to separate him. He wanted to stay in his little bedroom there. I was trying to create space so he wouldn't be on his computer all night long. But I had bought him a set of tools so he could work on his computer. He's really good at it. And during this argument, after I did the same thing, I could see him coming, you can see him getting worked up, and I just caught him and held him and said, you need to calm down. He didn't calm down. I'm going to let you go. And so when you calm down, we can talk about things. I walked back into the kitchen, and he had gone into his bedroom, and I bought the wrong tools, as it turns out, for his computer. And when I was walking into the kitchen, I wasn't even looking at him. He had thrown a screwdriver, ricocheted off the door frame, and hit me. And that was the three bull rush times that I remember that we had. Now we had disagreements and we argued, here and there about normal things. You hate to say normal when you're talking about the kids raising their voice and whatnot, but the bull rushing and fighting was not something that happened as much as has been portrayed here. If it was a disagreement, it was more kind of the yelling and screaming back and forth.
Did he ever threaten to kill you?
No, he never threatened to kill me. That never face to face, never heard that. None of my children, Jane or anybody ever said, hey, nobody, Marcy, Debbie, nobody ever said that. Cole said he's going to kill you.
Okay. Did he ever use the gun to threaten you or any of the children?
Right, so, in these disagreements, this is the thing I need people to understand. The gun was a thing that him and I used to bond with, and I was very clear on the rules, right? No loaded guns in the house ever, and he abided by those rules. He respected the weapon. We didn't have them in the safe. We didn't, have locks on them, as we've all seen here today. But I'm telling you that he had a healthy respect for weapons. They stayed where I told them to stay. And in the heat of the moment, whether it was arguing with me or arguing with his mom, arguing or bull rushing, he never once made a threat to me or his sisters or brother or anybody that I know of going for the gun. He never made that kind of action or movement towards a gun, made a threat, never said anything about a gun. He was pissed about other things, but that gun was understanding we had of what it was for.
Now, was he allowed to have the cartridges in his room?
So the magazines were typically kept in my closet. The ammunition was in there as well. We didn't have stockpiles of ammunition just, piled up in the closet. Typically what would happen, we would buy ammunition if we were going to the range 2 days before. We'd either shoot it off or not. Bring back the left, and I would always put it up in the closet there. My clips, magazines for the weapons were up in that closet as well. At some point, I think it was for her birthday. He got a gift card. Debbie said, hey, I want to take him to Amazon, get some stuff for his gun. Colt said, hey, Mammy wanted to ask, could she buy me ammunition? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to have it. We'll go to the range. I don't know what that time frame was. Like, I can't sit here today and tell you, yeah, she can buy the ammunition because we're going to the range the next day. I don't have that time frame. And I said, sure, it's no problem. I did not find out that she had bought him 4 or 5 magazines on that trip to Amazon until after the fact. I saw them in his room, laying on the shelf. They weren't loaded or anything. I'm like, where'd you get these magazines? He said, man, you brought them.
Okay.
So those magazines, they were empty, but they were in his room.
We saw yesterday a photograph of some Winchester cartridges that apparently were sitting on the shelf of the bed. I can't remember. Was that against the rule for him to do that?
So the rule was guns, ammunition, unloaded guns, and ammunition. Everything stayed in the top of the closet. I did have a green ammunition box that it did not have a lock on that box. It was pretty difficult to open that box, but we tried to keep whatever ammo we were shooting or going to shoot, any leftover ammo in that green ammo box.
Was there ammo in that box that was to weapons that you didn't own any longer?
We're going to get back to that in just a moment. Again, that's the trial happening in Georgia against Colin Gray, the father accused in the mass shooting case alleged by his teenage son. But right now we want to go up to New York. We told you that we are expecting for former President Bill Clinton to go before House Oversight Committee members today, answering questions about the Jeffrey Epstein case. We see the Republicans from that committee coming out right now. I don't believe that the conversation has taken place yet. This is prior to it taking place, but we want to listen to them for a few moments while they speak as we expect for that deposition of the former president to take place.
Clinton yesterday, and she kept saying, well, she was in the Senate at that time. She wasn't focused on it. You'll have to ask my husband. So a lot of the Clinton Global Initiative questions yesterday went unanswered because Ms. Clinton deferred to her husband. So we'll do one more question. Annie, go ahead.
It's our understanding that you guys asked Secretary Clinton yesterday about photos of her husband in the Epstein files. What was her reaction when you showed various photos, for example, of her husband in the jacuzzi that we've seen?
I'm going to let Miss Mace answer that. We're on TV.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything. No, she didn't want to answer any questions about any of that and deferred most of those, if not all of those questions, to her husband, and he will be thoroughly asked about that today. What did he know? When did he know? What did he see? Because there are other people who've come forward publicly, like Kevin Spacey, who thought all of this was very strange and actually a very high risk for President of the United States or former president. It's all very bizarre, but I asked her very pointed questions, and you'll see that in the transcript in the video that comes out, and you'll see how she responded as well, screaming.
And we'll close with this. We're going to get the video out as quickly as we can get it uploaded and the sound and everything from yesterday. So this is, for all practical purposes, a public deposition. The American people are going to see it. I've heard C-SPAN's going to air it wire to wire. So everyone's going to see what was asked yesterday. And I think that'll answer a lot of questions, especially with Lutnick and other things like that. Throughout the day, we'll try to send different members out to give you brief updates. We don't want to disclose what's going on in the deposition specifically until at the conclusion, but we'll keep you updated, and we appreciate everyone being here and look forward to updating you throughout the day. Thank you all.
What do you mean that Hillary Clinton was screaming?
She was unhinged, and I hope that President Clinton is less unhinged today than his wife was yesterday. You'll see it.
There you have it. You're hearing from the Republicans of the House Oversight Committee, including the chairman there from Comer. They're speaking close to the end at that moment. When they're referencing they're talking about former Secretary of State former First Lady Hillary Clinton, who went through her deposition yesterday, again, speaking before House Oversight Committee members about the Jeffrey Epstein case. All of this has kind of been building up to this point. If you recall, the Clintons were called in for questioning by this committee. They originally did not show up, or were not going to do it at first. There was word that there could be a threat that they could be hit with a contempt of Congress. Before that even got to that point, they said, yes, we will do this. We want it to be live. However, that request was denied, except, as you heard there from Comer, they said that we're not going to air it live as it happens, but it will be recorded. A full transcript will be put out, and people will be able to see the video of this deposition in full. That is what has been promised by them in this particular case. Okay, now the Democrats are coming out. I was going to say something else, but now let's turn it over to them. Again, these are the Democrats of the House Oversight Committee.
Robert Garcia, I'm the ranking member, leader of the Oversight Committee for Democrats, and we're going to make some brief comments. Everyone's got a few brief remarks, and then we're going to start the deposition. I want to just begin by just saying that what we're interested in today is a serious deposition. We have real questions that deserve serious answers from former President Clinton, and we have said from day one that Democrats want to talk to anyone, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, no matter how powerful they are, whatever position that they've been in. If anyone has information about Jeffrey Epstein, and certainly the horror that he inflicted on so many women and children, we want to hear from them. What we do not want today is a sideshow and questions about UFOs or about conspiracy theories from decades ago, which is what unfortunately happened yesterday when a series of bizarre questions were asked of Secretary Clinton. And Secretary Clinton was clear. She never met Jeffrey Epstein. She never went on the island. She was never on the plane. And she had no knowledge, of course, of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Want to also add that there are a lot of questions today, whether they're about Epstein's finances, about survivors, about foreign intelligence, that we look forward to asking in a way that's serious and dignified, and we hope Republicans do the same. I also want to add one other thing which I think is really important. Republicans have now set a new precedent, which is to bring in presidents and former presidents to testify. So we're once again going to make that call that we did yesterday. We are now asking and demanding that President Trump officially come in and testify in front of the Oversight Committee. He appears in the Epstein files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell almost more than anybody else. So it's time for the president to answer questions about why files are missing from the DOJ, why there's been a White House cover-up, and why we continue in that administration to call this investigation a hoax. And finally, I'll review the call that we made yesterday, that we are demanding, again, that the press and the public be allowed inside the depositions so that you can hear the answers and the questions directly. And if that's not going to happen, they need to release a full, unedited review of the questions and video within 24 hours of the end of these depositions. That means that the Secretary Clinton deposition needs to be released immediately today. And with that, I'll pass it along to Mr. Frost.
Thank you so much. Today we're here to conduct a serious investigation, and it is obvious that our Republican colleagues, at least yesterday, were not here to do the same thing. We've said it many times and we'll continue to say it again. We will hear from anyone. We don't care who you are. We just want the truth. All of us have met with the survivors. All of us looked them in the eyes and promised them that we would see this thing through the end and do it in a serious way. Asking questions about UAPs, UFOs, as interested as I am in the subject too, it has nothing to do with this investigation. Don't waste our time. Don't waste the time of survivors who have been waiting and waiting for justice. Now, finally, the government is paying attention. Members of Congress are paying attention. Stay focused on the matter at hand. We're also calling out the hypocrisy of our Republican colleagues who, yes, we're here to talk with President Clinton today. We'll talk with anyone. But how come people like Howard Lutnick, it seems like they don't want to talk with him. They don't want to talk with the president. They don't want to call in Pam Bondi, who has done everything that she can do to cover up and to slow down our investigation. A law passed by Congress damn near unanimously that she's done everything she can to slow down the release of the files. And even when they're released, and they said members of Congress would be able to go to the Department of Justice to view them unredacted. I know all of us, if not most of us, have gone in there and seen files that are still redacted and not given a proper explanation as to why we can't view them. We know the Department of Justice has deleted things having to do with Donald Trump, has deleted things having to do with Howard Lutnick and people connected to the administration. We know that Pam Bondi has been spying on members of Congress as we've been trying to conduct our legitimate oversight responsibilities. So we're here to see this through. We're here because we know that this is about justice for the survivors, but justice also means that this never happens again. That's why this investigation is so important. We don't want this failure of government, this failure of elite billionaires getting away with a different system of justice. We don't want this to happen again, and that's why we're here today. We are serious about this, and my hope is that my Republican colleagues who say they're serious about it back it up with action, not just with the questions you ask here today, but what you do from here on out. It's not about party. It's about this nation. It's about protecting our most vulnerable people. Thank you.
We have a couple more.
Good afternoon. I'm James Walkinshaw from Virginia's 11th District. I am glad that President Clinton is going to sit down today with us and answer questions under oath. Anybody who had a significant relationship with Jeffrey Epstein should explain what, if anything, and when they knew about the crimes that were being committed. President Clinton's sworn statement said that he had no knowledge of the crimes that were committed, and I know that we're committed to asking tough questions about that today. But President Clinton's presence here today, under oath, highlights the Donald Trump-sized gaping hole in Chairman Comer's investigation. President Trump is mentioned tens of thousands of times in the files. We learned in recent days that files related to an accusation made against President Trump have been removed, not released to the public in the files. And this investigation will not be complete until we bring President Trump in to answer questions under oath. I'm hopeful that Chairman Comer will have the courage to move us in that direction. Thank you.
I'm Congressman Suhas Subramanian from Virginia's 10th District. We're going to ask President Clinton the hard questions today. We're going to get to the truth about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But let's be real, we're talking to the wrong president today. President Trump is the one who has not released 2.5 million files. President Trump is the one who is blocking our investigation. President Trump is the one who wants this to go away, but it will not go away. And so, yes, we will talk to President Clinton today, but moving forward, this needs to be not about party, but about getting to the truth and getting justice for the survivors.
Congressman Wesley Bell here. I'm sorry, these glasses go dark on me. First and foremost, I think what is getting lost in much of this is that this is about justice for the victims and the survivors. And we can't forget that. This is not political theater, which Republicans seem to be interested in. This is about getting to the bottom of exactly what happened and holding those responsible accountable. And that's exactly what we're here to do. And so we're going to continue to keep pushing Republicans to do the right thing. We need to see anyone who has information with respect to the Epstein files or this sex trafficking. They need to be brought before this committee, and we need to have a serious investigation. And I've said it before, as a former prosecutor, I've led these types of investigations, and this has not been a serious investigation by any stretch of the imagination. The American people want to see justice served. The victims and the survivors deserve justice.
Good morning, Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari from Arizona's 3rd District. I am grateful that we are here day 2 of these depositions with Secretary Clinton and President Bill Clinton. We've always said we will take answers from anyone and nobody is above congressional oversight. But let's be absolutely honest about something. If the Republicans want to be serious about this investigation and getting to the truth and accountability for perpetrators, then we have to look to the most powerful person in the United States and the world, which is President Donald Trump. He is mentioned in the Epstein files more than almost anyone. And just this week, incredibly damning reporting came out to say that there were credible allegations from a woman who said that she was abused by Donald Trump when she was a minor. The FBI investigated this and interviewed this individual multiple times. You do not do that if it is not serious. Further, we need to investigate the ongoing White House cover-up. We know that the Department of Justice has been withholding files. They have been making illegal redactions. The FBI and Kash Patel have been lying under oath. All of these people need to be deposed before this committee. We need to take this investigation seriously. There are more than 1,000 people who were harmed by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and many other rich and powerful people, children whose lives were literally altered forever at the hands of this abuse. This is very serious, and I think the fact that some of the Republicans on the Oversight Committee feel that it is appropriate to make statements to say that President Trump is somehow exonerated. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna said this last night. That is the most outrageous thing that I have ever heard. Donald Trump needs to come before this committee, and we will not stop fighting until we get the truth and there's accountability and justice for the survivors.
I'm Ro Khanna from California. I want to echo what all of my colleagues said. A new precedent has been set in America today. Before this, we had the Trump rule. Trump defied, as all of you know, a congressional subpoena with the January 6th committee. He said presidents don't have to testify. Now we have the Clinton rule, which is that presidents and their families have to testify when Congress issues a subpoena. And that means that Donald Trump needs to come before our committee and explain what he knew about Epstein and explain why we have not had a full release of the documents. We also need other people, part of the Epstein class, to come before this committee. If President Clinton can answer questions, many others need to as well. I was pleased to see Congresswoman Nancy Mace today calling for Howard Lutnick to come before our committee. I believe we will have the votes to subpoena him, and we will work with Ranking Member Garcia to make sure that he comes before our committee next.
A couple questions. Go ahead.
Mentioning foreign intelligence. BBC, Virginia Giuffre never accused the former President Bill Clinton of wrongdoing, but she did say that he visited Epstein's island, that she saw him there. But the former president say he never went. You mentioned Howard Lutnick several times. We know that he claimed to cut off ties with Epstein, but then was found to have visited the island. So who do you believe, Virginia Giuffre or President Bill Clinton?
Those questions are actually going to be asked today in this deposition, so we look forward to those questions.
Just a short time ago, your Republican colleagues said that there was some type of exchange yesterday with the secretary where she was screaming. What is your characterization of what happened?
I hope that the Republicans release the actual video unedited immediately, because to say that the secretary was screaming, I think is beyond a mischaracterization. What happened yesterday was a disgrace. To be asking about UFOs, Pizzagate, conspiracy theories, you yourself are going to see the types of questions that she was asked to defend her husband, not directly to her, not information about her. I think they need to release the videos right now. You should all be let in this immediately.
You guys have talked often about the precedent being set by President Clinton appearing here today as it relates to President Trump. Is the way that President Clinton answers these questions today also setting a precedent? If he evokes executive privilege or says he doesn't remember, could that set the stage for President Trump to do a similar situation?
I think it was telling that Secretary Clinton did not take the fifth one time yesterday. She answered the questions. That information needs to be released. I think it's important that President Clinton do the same. I think he will answer questions today. I think that President Trump needs to man up, get in front of this committee, and answer the questions and stop calling this investigation a hoax. And we've got to go in. Thank you all very much.
Now we've heard from both Democrats and Republicans on the House Oversight Committee as they prepare to ask questions of former President Bill Clinton a day after his wife, former Secretary of State and First Lady Hillary Clinton, was deposed before this same committee. All of this over the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, with these lawmakers wanting to know what the Clintons may have known about the late sex offender who died several years ago while in custody in prison. And here are some images that came out of that first cache of Epstein files showing former President Bill Clinton and Epstein together. There are other images that are within that cache showing the former president in a pool with what it appears to be women as well within that. I do think we have that image too as a part of this. Maybe not. Okay, that's okay, but they're in there. I can tell you that. And the president has said that he knew Epstein. His spokespersons have talked about the two of them knowing each other as well, particularly through the Clinton Foundation, in which he and Hillary Clinton operate. Now, the former First Lady has said she did not have a relationship with Epstein. However, she did have a relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the accomplice of Epstein within this case. Now, you heard from the Republicans and the Democrats. There are very different characterizations of the questions, responses to those questions when it came to Hillary Clinton yesterday. And really, for us as the general public, the best way for us to know the truth about that is to be able to see it for ourselves. With the committee says will indeed take place, that the actual deposition in full will be released, and that the transcript will also be released to the public, although this is not being broadcasted live for people to see, which is something that the leaders of the committee, you see their Republican lead, Jim Comer, they were adamant that they did not want this to be live, but they said that they would release it at a later time. So we believe that today's deposition of Bill Clinton will take several hours. You hear there that many of the questions that are being asked, that were asked of Hillary Clinton, she allegedly deferred to her husband to answer, who would have had a closer relationship with Epstein than she would have. But you hear it also from the Democrats there that they want to hear from the current president, President Trump, who also has images and a past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And so that is what they want in this case. And if you're going to bring in Hillary and Bill Clinton, then why can we not bring in President Trump when it comes to these same lines of questioning, with him being mentioned in files as well? That's where we are with that. Again, we will not be able to carry that deposition live. It is not available for us to do so, but you can believe that when it is made available, maybe in the upcoming days, that we will attempt to do that here on this stream and definitely talk about it here at 13 News Now. We need to take another break as it is 11 o'clock. We'll be right back with more Live Impact News. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Let's take you up to Chicago right now, where we are seeing the moments on the second day in which we're seeing the family of Jesse Jackson Sr. and the community coming to pay their respects as his body lays in state there at the headquarters of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Again, this is in Chicago, Illinois. You see members of the family, the Jackson family, the esteemed Jackson family, there hugging on people in the moment. You see there Jesse Jackson III, his son there, hugging people coming through. They had services yesterday here as well. This is only a part of what is going to be at least a week of different things in honoring the life of Jesse Jackson Sr., who died last week at the age of 84 years old. This journey will take them to South Carolina as well, and back to Chicago, where there will be a community celebration, I believe, on March 6th. And March 7th, there will be a private ceremony, if I have my dates correct. But that will be the plan here for the family. Again, this is the second day kicking off some of these services. So people can come in from across, obviously, Chicago, the city, but across the country. They will be coming in to pay their respects and honor the life and legacy, long-lasting legacy of Jesse Jackson Jr. Okay, we are going to continue to follow that in the days to come for sure. But right now, I think let's talk about space. Actually, you know, Sarah, we had an idea. We were going to go to the Artemis II. We did hear from the astronauts and NASA as a part of that mission. It has been delayed now yet again. Again, they're set to go on a 10-day journey around the moon within the next several months now. But I'm just noticing that Colin Gray is back on the stand. We had seen that they had taken a break, but we're not going to go back to that for a little bit. It's not often where you see someone defending, taking the stand in a case against them. So with this being a high-profile case, we'll go ahead and go back to that at least for a few moments here. Again, this is the father who's been charged of nearly 30 counts after prosecutors say he gave his son an assault-style weapon, knowing that the son had mental health issues and had recently shown aggression and some other concerns. And months later, that son, then 14-year-old Colt Gray, shot and killed multiple people at a high school in Georgia. So now we are seeing a father being placed in a situation in which the state wants him to take responsibility in part for what took place. This is him at the stand defending himself.
I got a computer in the room, and I purchased him and Jenny a laptop.
Did you know anything about any multiple accounts that he had or any of the websites that he was getting on?
No, I did not.
Okay. Do you even know what Discord was?
Only time I never heard Discord was with Jackson County, and periodically. Only thing I really do as far as so when I say social media, he didn't have Facebook nor did I, but Discord and YouTube. You know, if I was asking him, you know, I think there was a couple times I made him show me what he was looking at on Discord, and it was typically all about gaming. And YouTube, he was just doing some, you know, typical kid searches.
Did you ever see any communication that he had with any of the people on what we would consider the dark web?
No, sir.
During the time that you and Colt and the three kids were together, did he ever indicate to you that he wanted to hurt anybody?
No, sir.
Did he ever indicate to you that he wanted to do a school shooting?
No, sir.
Now, was there a time when Marcy came back and stayed with you and the kids for, I won't say an extended period, but for a period of time.
After I received a call from her at rehab, said she'd gotten her certain number day chip, and that Manu and Papa Charlie said it was okay and agreed that if I wanted to come down and pick her up, that I could do so. So I did.
And how long did she actually stay with you?
I want to say, 4 or 5 weeks, maybe something along those lines. I don't know exactly to the day and the time frame.
Did Colt's mood change when Marcy came back?
It did not at first. It did at some point kind of change and become a little difficult between those two. In the beginning, not so much. I know Colt was one, I had a conversation with about going and picking her back up, and he was all for it. I had that conversation with Jenny. Jenny was not so warm to the idea, and we just kind of really kept. Little Chloe was all about his mama and wanting everybody to be together. We didn't really get into in-depth conversations, but in the beginning, Colt and her were okay. I don't know what or when it started to change, but it just became a little more argumentative, I would say.
Okay. And were you doing things with the other two kids during that time period too? Were you taking them places, buying them things?
I was. I tried to spread it out with everybody as best I could.
Did Colt ever get angry about what you might be buying for Jenny?
One particular thing that jumps into my mind is we went to the Tanger outlets to buy school clothes for everybody, and I spent $400 or $500 in the Nike store, and I bought, instead of buying Jenny a pair of tennis shoes, I bought her 2 pair of Nike tennis shoes so she could alternate. I think a sweatshirt, and I think I only bought Colt a Georgia sweatshirt and a purple pair of Nikes, and he didn't like them.
Okay. Now, would you say that during that time period, did you do telephone calls or text primarily? During that time period?
With Marcy or the kids?
With everybody. So
we text a lot. In the beginning, I was not a texter. I'm more of a figure phone kind of guy. Our marriage was based on texts. And, it was just a quick way for me to communicate with the kids during my day. So I would say the majority was texting.
Okay. And when Marcy was there, did there ever come a time where there became a problem between she and Colt?
It did. Like I said, in the beginning, it wasn't nothing really, and just kind of disagreements, kind of a little bickering here and there, what have you. And then I want to say somewhere along the line, they had a disagreement. I'm trying to think. I want to say August time frame. We had all that going on, trying to get people in school and whatnot, and they did have, initially, they had a bad day, if you want to call it. They argued for most of the day, and then the second day after that, they had a kind of a serious altercation.
Okay. We saw a text message from Colt, I think yesterday, about blood on your hands, it's your fault, and that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
What was that in relation to?
So, the way that I had taken it, and I think Cole and I talked about this afterwards, was there was a disagreement initially about him going to school, and I was siding with his mama like, this is what we needed to do kind of thing, and he didn't agree with me taking sides kind of thing. And he always kind of held that card about Marcy going, saying she's going to kill him and kill me. So the blood on the hands kind of comment, it was kind of in a back and forth text. I think that that argument between him and his mama, in the back of his mind, he was thinking, she's gonna do this, and when she does do this, that blood will be on your hands. Like, I shouldn't have sided with her. I should have always sided with him after she had made that comment, and he had made in passing that he just had always kind of worried about would she ever follow through with that threat. So that's what, for me, I thought the blood on your hands comment was with, if she ever followed through with this, you're siding with her type of thing. You should be siding with me.
Did you ever think that comment meant that he was going to go out and hurt anybody?
No, there was nothing that led me to believe he was out there even thinking about harming anybody.
During the time that Marcy was there for that month time period, did she start drinking again?
Not that I was aware of. I was pretty dead set on no alcohol or drugs or anything in the house, and just didn't really have it. For my birthday, I was finishing Rockdale County Fire Department, and I had the project manager from Rockdale County for my birthday brought me a pint of Gentleman Jack for my birthday, and I never opened it, and I brought it home initially back, in August, and I put it in the cabinet. When Marcy came back, or I knew she was coming back somewhere in that time frame, I hid that bottle above the linen closet in the bathroom, just up on the very top of the cabinet where nobody could see it. But I didn't drink it, never opened it. But once I put it up there, I actually forgot I even had the thing. So at some point throughout the years, Marcy had a way of kind of searching through things and finding, medications or alcohol or anything that may be in the house. And she had found, and I didn't know that she had found that bottle. Colt had made a statement. It was either the day before argument or the one where he pushed her down. He had made the statement that she was drunk. And then after they came into the house, GBI did a search. As I was walking out, I saw that empty bottle sitting up there on top of the linen closet where I put it. So I don't know how it got empty. I just know I had put it there and it was unopened.
Did you ultimately call Debbie and ask her to come and get Marcy?
I did after the altercation between Marcy and Colt. It was clear it wasn't going to get any better. And so I had called Debbie and said, listen, I think, we need to just take a pause for a second. My initial goal was, when I first picked Marcy up out of rehab, those first couple of weeks, man, she wasn't totally back to Marcy that I knew, but she was very helpful, man. She was really good. We went to church together, doing all the right things. She was helping me with school, trying to get him lined up and registered and doing all the right things. So there was this moment I was like, I could really use the help. Give me a little more freedom at work to do what I needed to do. Just overall being a part of the household, and at that point, any little help I could have in the house, I would definitely take.
She left, was that on the 15th or the 16th?
I think it was the 16th. It was the day after the altercation where Colt shoved her down to the ground. I called Debbie and said, you need to come get her and take her back to the jail.
Did Jenny tell you what happened in that altercation?
So initially, I got two stories. I got what she told me had happened, and then I got what Colt told me had happened. And, you know, I'm trying to filter through. Marcy had a way of kind of manipulating things as she needed to. And Colt, for any issues he had, with me, we had established this trust bubble, so forth, where he would tell me what happened, and he would tell me if he was at fault. So there were two stories I was trying to navigate which one based on the information I had, and I talked to Jenny, and I'm like, what do you know? What did you see or hear? And Jenny gave me her version of it.
Okay. I want to show you Defense Exhibit number 2. The whole thing. Text messages between this day and this day that she used text messages taken.
Oh, so you got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Got that worked out. Okay. Let me show you what you marked. Okay. These are all the text messages between you and Marcy. Those are from the 17th, after she left, until the day after this incident occurred at the high school. In any of those text messages, did she ever tell you that she felt Colt was homicidal?
No, sir.
Did she ever tell you that she felt like he was suicidal?
No, sir.
Did she ever tell you that he was obsessed with school shooters?
No, sir.
Did she ever tell you that he was obsessed and looking on the internet at Nick Cruz or any other shooter?
No, sir.
Okay. During the time that you had the children, did you try to be as positive with them as you could?
Yes, I really tried to reinforce, even if it was, a bad day or things weren't going right, I always tried to find that. I don't know, they used to kid me. I always give them a pep talk. That was the thing.
And did you text them a lot about how much you loved them and how well they were doing?
Yeah.
Would you do that on a daily basis, every other day, or?
If it wasn't daily, it wasn't 2 days, 3 days went in between. I always tried to just make sure that they knew I was thinking of them and wanted them to do good, and I was very proud of them. They persevered through a lot.
Okay. Let's talk about we'll try to get through this before lunchtime. I want to talk about when you went to the school to talk with the people at the school about getting me registered. What did you do in order to get him admitted to Appalachia High School?
So originally, when we reached out, we had talked with the registrar and kind of explained what we were trying to do here. And I had started that conversation with her. I'm like, listen, not to get into all this with her, but he had missed a significant time of 8th grade. And I wanted to ask her, initially, was there a way that we could just have Colt retake the 8th grade? I felt it would be better for him and help him just kind of be more ready, if you will, for high school and not come out of the gates behind in 9th grade. And her comment was, we just push them through. I remember was what she said. She said, we don't necessarily fail any child, that we just push him through to the next grade and try to help him along, catch up, during the next year or, first semester or so. And I said, well, okay. She said, well, let me do this. She said, I will work on a schedule for him that had part 8th grade curriculum in it, to kind of help catch him up during that first semester, and sprinkle in some 9th grade classes, kind of a hybrid of both in high school. And hopefully by the end of the first semester that he would be caught back up and be current with all the other kids in 9th grade. So that was the initial conversation with getting him registered for school. She said, this is going to take me some time to be able to build this schedule, so he's not going to start with everybody else. And I said, okay, well, when will he start? She said, you're probably looking at him starting a couple weeks later than the rest of the classes and kids. But it'd be beneficial for him to have this kind of setup of classes and schedule and have this start date based on what she was going to have me do.
Okay. And is that the reason that there's a gap between the first day of school and when Colt was supposed to start?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
She was tailoring the schedule to help kind of catch him up from the 8th, and in that first semester, bring him through the 9th and get started. And by the end of the first semester, he might not be right there, but he would be close.
Okay. And do you recall the first day that Colt went to school?
So I think it was that 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. I don't have it in front of me, so.
We've been listening live out of Georgia, the trial against Colin Gray there, the father accused after his son allegedly shot and killed multiple people in a mass shooting at a high school in Georgia. We're going to have much more in a few minutes on the other side of a break, but before we do that, we want to take a live shot here for something that I know we're really excited about here at 13 News Now. This is as we're leading up for our Pause for Charity event on March 18th. We have what we're calling Furcast right now, okay? Pause for Charity Day. Again, it's happening March 18th this year. We're counting down the days in the most cute way possible. Every Friday leading up to that day, we're going to be having live shots from 11 until 3 with this brand new Furcast. 4 hours, people can join in and brighten your mood with puppies, happy swinging tails, maybe even seeing your new best friend. Our live feed will feature adorable dogs from Hope for Life Rescue here in Virginia Beach in our area. So you can tune in, you can share the stream, you can help us help them, of course, whether that means adopting your new friend or making a donation to support their care. I love this so much. Sarah, you can see they're just having the greatest time in there. And, Hope for Life does so much for animals in our community, and they always have great pups that are there. And, man, it would be great to give them homes. And if you can't do that, again, if you just want to adopt for a few days or something like that, take them home. You can do, you can test it out if you're unsure, and then you can bring them back. But I tell you what, man, if I bring one of these dogs home, Sarah, that's a wrap. I know it. I know it for myself. And something about it, too, it just brightens up your day, right? Like having this in the background, maybe you can, if you're having a tough day, just pop this up over the next few Fridays, and just brighten that mood up a little bit. Sarah's not speaking because she's overwhelmed with joy right now.
I'm captivated.
Of course you are. Oh, they look so cute. Okay, so we're going to have those shots so we can come up periodically over the next several Fridays. But again, March 18th, mark your calendars for Pause for Charity Day, when we can help these adorable animals at Hope for Life Rescue. Okay, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be back on Live Impact News. Thank you for staying with us here on Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus, or if you are watching us on YouTube. We got a major announcement today from the NASA officials about Artemis II. Remember, that's the launch that is scheduled to go to the moon for the first time in nearly 50 years, I do believe. They're scheduled to make that 10-day trip around the moon. But we are learning today that there will be a delay in that, now scheduled to be around April in that launch. And so NASA officials spoke today about the latest information, answered questions from reporters, and we will let you listen in to them. Again, this is about the Artemis II mission.
Today, we'll be taking questions both in person and through our phone bridge. So media interested in asking a question, please press star 1 to enter the queue. And now we'll begin with opening remarks from Administrator Isaacman.
Thank you very much, George. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Appreciate everyone coming out. We're seeing each other a lot lately. Lots of updates. Expect more of it. First, I just want to give a lot of credit to the NASA workforce and our partners that have been working really tirelessly through the Artemis campaign. It's really especially impressive work, and I know they're all feeling it after we had what was a near flawless wet dress 2 performance. That Artemis 2 is now back in the vehicle assembly building, which is imperfect. So we want to give you 2 sets of updates. Lori is going to speak with you about what we're learning about Artemis 2 now that it is back in the VAB, and what our path is back out to the pad and to launch this historic mission. But before that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the overall Artemis program, how we're going to achieve the President's objective to return American astronauts to the moon, to build an enduring presence, and ideally not wind up in some of the situations that we've seen recently. So let's talk about the situation. Artemis I launched more than 3 years ago. We had helium leaks with Artemis 1. I'm sorry, we had hydrogen leaks with Artemis 1. We had helium flow issues with Artemis 1. Artemis 2 went out to the pad. Wet dress 1, we had hydrogen leaks. And then after a second wet dress 2, where we made a lot of great progress, we wound up with helium flow issues. A lot of similarities between the two. And why is that essentially the case? Look, 3+ year launch cadence. I mean, Artemis 3 right now, as it's currently designed, won't fly for approximately another 3 years. So launching a rocket as important and as complex as SLS every 3 years is not a path to success. A component of that is when you are launching every 3 years, your skills atrophy. You lose muscle memory. We've got a lot of really talented folks that have been working hard on the Artemis II campaign, and you know, whether they're going to want to stick around for 3 more years after this mission is complete is a question mark. This is just not the right pathway forward. And I'd say also, when you are experiencing some of the same issues between launches, you're probably got to take a close look at your process for remediation. Are you truly getting the technical root cause, or are you getting close to it? So we've got issues with low flight rate. And I would say a great way to exacerbate that problem further is to start making changes to vehicle configuration. SLS is a very impressive vehicle. We don't want to turn every one of them into a work of art. And then I would also say that having very big objectives, a wide objective gap between missions is also not a pathway to success. So we didn't go right to Apollo 11, right? We had a whole Mercury program, Gemini, Apollo, lots of Apollo missions before we ultimately landed. Right now, our program is essentially set up with an Apollo 8 and then going right to the moon. And that is, again, not a pathway to success. So what is the right way forward here? So first, today we're announcing a standardization of the SLS fleet to what we'll call essentially a near Block 1 configuration. So the idea is we want to reduce complexity to the greatest extent possible. We want to accelerate manufacturing, pull in the hardware, and increase launch rate, which obviously has a direct safety consideration to it as well. You get into a good rhythm, launching great frequency, you get that muscle memory. In order to do that, we need to rebuild and strengthen the workforce here at NASA. Now, this is directly in line with a workforce directive that I released several weeks ago. We have to rebuild core competencies. The ability to turn around our launch pads and launch with frequency greater than every 3 years is imperative. Now, some people ask me questions on that already as we've talked about this, and it's like, how are we going to do that? How we can go from 3 years to something significantly less to what I think should actually be inside of 1 year? And I'll point you to our history. We have a nice infographic that's coming out from Mercury, Gemini, Apollo through the shuttle program. I don't think it would surprise many of the folks in the room that our average launch cadence was closer to 3 months throughout all those programs, not 3 years. In fact, if you want a history tidbit, you look at the time when Apollo 7 splashed down to when Apollo 8 launched, you're approximately 2 months apart. We need to start getting back to basics and moving in this direction. So rebuilding the civil servant workforce and restoring core capabilities. Again, that will directly contribute to NASA's launch cadence, where we're going to endeavor to get our launches inside of a year, specifically down to potentially 10 months. And then we are going to add missions. In fact, we're essentially going to pull in Artemis II to launch in 2027 with a revised mission profile. So instead of going directly to a lunar landing, we will endeavor to rendezvous in low Earth orbit with one or both of our lunar landers, test out integrated operations between Orion and the landers, ECLSS systems, even to the extent possible, if we can get up development components of our XEVA suits to test out vehicle interfaces, even just getting an astronaut in a suit in microgravity, we can learn a lot with the idea that we should be learning. And take this information back to inform hardware development, whether it's in the landers or in the suits before Artemis IV, where we will attempt to land on the moon. We are also, as a component of the strategy, endeavoring to preserve up to 2 landing attempts in 2028. So if we get it inside of the 10-month turnaround time that we would like to see, Artemis II will launch on its historic mission in the weeks ahead. Artemis III will have its opportunity, if we can, by mid-2027, which sets us up for an early 28 and a late 28 opportunity. So that is the approach that we are taking at a very high level. I will tell you, we're not surprising our industry or our stakeholders at this press conference right now. We've been having these discussions for a long time. In fact, I give a lot of credit to NASA and its team. No one at NASA forgot their history books. They knew how to do this. They've had plans like this for a long time. Now we're putting it in action. We had a chance to have these discussions across all of our industry partners, all of the prime contractors on the SLS vehicle, both of our HLS landing providers. Everybody agrees this is the only way forward. And I'll say, had similar conversations with all our stakeholders in Congress, and they're fully behind NASA in this approach. They know this is how NASA changed the world, and this is how NASA is going to do it again. With that, I'll hand it over to Ahmed.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, the path forward that the administrator laid out, I think, is pretty clear. It reduces risk, it strengthens our ability to execute these missions, and the campaign ahead of us. It reflects the adjustments that we need to keep our schedule credible and our teams focused on what matters most, which is safe and achievable missions. And also, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about the Artemis II crew. This is for them also. When they get on top of that rocket, they need to know that they're doing it as part of a step, as part of a plan that's going to work. That they have said many times they're doing this mission so that their teammates can walk on the moon. They need to know that they're going to get on top of that rocket so that we're going to give them a plan for the rest of the team that's going to be assigned, that's going to go do this work to actually get to the moon. So our update today reinforces that commitment to them. And when we ask them to take that risk, when we take that risk together, that they're doing it for a reason. So we're going to build that program grounded in safety, incremental learnings, technical excellence, and long-term sustainability. So I think it's, our commitment to flight readiness, this is not about slowing down momentum. This is about increasing it, about making sure that we are focused on the right things in terms of how we execute the program. We need to get back to doing the workforce initiative that the administrator has directed us to implement is the absolute key ingredient to this. We need to get our teams working side by side with our partners outside and get this work done. So it's challenging, it's ambitious, but with this course correction, we are on a more stable foundation, a more realistic path to the milestones we have ahead. And we're so grateful to the teams across the NASA centers, across all of industry that's helping us. We have the entire force of American industry now helping us with the Artemis campaign. We are grateful to them for their support. They have been relentless in driving progress, and we need them to be even more relentless to achieve these missions. And this plan that we're laying out today makes that possible. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Glaze to talk about Artemis II.
Thank you, Amit.
I'd like to start by thanking the administrator for taking this incredibly bold step and moving quickly to assure that we have support and resources that are needed in order to launch Artemis astronauts to the moon every year. I want to thank our team as well within the Moon to Mars program on Artemis and all of our Artemis mission planning. Our teams continue to work tirelessly to enable mission success. I know to people outside of NASA, sometimes we make it look easy. What we are doing is anything but easy, and we've seen that with the challenges that we've encountered. I've said time and time again that our team rises to challenges and they meet any bar that is set. This will be a challenge, and I know that we will continue to relentlessly pursue excellence at every step, and that includes not just our NASA team, but it includes, again, our contractor workforce and all of the suppliers that contribute at every level to the success of the Artemis space program. So first things first, I'm going to talk about Artemis II. We were here just a week ago. We were all very excited last Friday after the successful wet dress rehearsal. We were in a great place at that time and looking at a launch in early March. Things changed pretty quickly last Friday evening, where we discovered the issue with the flow of helium to the ICPS, the upper stage of the SLS. That occurred as we were doing the reconfiguration of the SLS as we transitioned from the wet dress into the launch configuration. So that was it was disappointing, but that's where we were. And the response of our team was exactly what we should be doing. We allowed the data to talk to us and tell us what we needed to do, and allowed those findings, the operational findings, to guide us in what decisions that we needed to make. And the data were pretty clear that we were no-go. We were in a no-go situation without the ability to flow the helium to the RL-10 engines of the upper stage. So while we have the ability to access the boosters and the core stage out at the pad, we were in preparations already for being able to do the work that needed to be done out at the pad. We do not have the ability to access the interior of the upper stage at the pad. So that's what's the requirement to roll back to the vehicle assembly building. Our team has been working very quickly to transition from preparations for launch to preparations for rollback, and they did that extremely quickly. We were able to roll back within a couple of days. At the same time, the team has worked to streamline a plan for the work inside the VAB to give us the very best possible chance at a launch in the early April launch period. We got back to the VAB about 8 p.m. Wednesday night. The platforms within the VAB have already been extended. You can see them there in the live graphic. And the work has already begun, an incredible amount of work already going on. The suspected system components for the helium flow will be removed, and they're going to undergo detailed inspections and assess the cause of the issue. We hope to get down to the root cause of that and make changes not just to the hardware but to our operational procedures so that we don't encounter the same issue again when we roll back out to the pad. In addition to determining the cause of the helium flow issue, the teams are also going to do a number of other things while we're in the VAB. We will replace the batteries in the flight termination system and conduct another end-to-end test to meet the Eastern Range safety requirements. We'll give the closeout crew another shot, another chance at closing out the Orion capsule, get them a little bit more practice in closing out the Orion crew module. And then also the seal on the tail service mast umbilical that supplies the liquid oxygen to the rocket before liftoff. That is also going to be replaced to ensure a tight configuration. As you recall, of course, the twin seal that supplies, that goes to the liquid hydrogen was replaced out at the pad. So we've already replaced that one, so now we're going to replace the oxygen seal as well. And at the same time, we're also going to be reviewing the items that are already stowed in the Orion crew module. There's some of those time out, and we need to replace them, so we'll be doing a little bit of that as well. We will continue to provide updates, regular updates of how we're progressing within the VAB and our plans once they solidify on when we roll back out. We will definitely let everybody know. And just again to return to Administrator Isaacman's statements, beyond Artemis II, I know that our team is up for this challenge. We are ready, and we are ready to get started on that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now take your questions. Please ask one question at a time so that we can get to as many of you as possible. We'll circle back if we have time. We'll start with a question here in the room, but if you're joining us via the phone bridge, please press *1 to enter the queue. I'll take our first question. Will.
Hi, thanks. Will Robinson Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thank you all for taking the time this morning. To the administrator or associate administrator, the plan for the revamped Artemis II to rendezvous with one or both of the HLS providers, can you speak to the importance of that component of doing Artemis III in low Earth orbit, and I guess how soon, given where both of those HLS vehicles are, how feasible that might be to dock with them as opposed to just sort of rendezvousing and getting in proximity with them in low Earth orbit? Thank you.
So I'll begin and welcome Amit's additional inputs on this. I think one of the one of the challenges, but is also one of the greatest opportunities that comes from both our HLS providers, is the ability to return America to the moon, not just, again, for the flag and the rocks, but to be able to actually build out that enduring presence. So what they're taking on is technically very challenging, but a lot of that involves, whether it's on-orbit prop transfer or rapid reusability, because it necessitates lots of launches. We don't find ourselves in that situation for a low Earth orbit rendezvous. So this is an opportunity to test out the vehicle. We know they're capable of doing is not as much the technical process. The most demanding process is how to get that vehicle to the moon. So it's a perfect opportunity for us to test the interface out between Orion and that vehicle, to actually get humans in the vehicle, start looking at the ecological systems. This is all going to help take down risk for a subsequent landing.
Yeah, I think for Artemis II, we're doing on-orbit handling of the vehicle to test out rendezvous techniques. A low Earth orbit rendezvous is a bit more challenging than a LEO rendezvous, just because the external environment, the external torques are different. But as the administrator said, this was in the plan. We have to be able to mate with these vehicles. We have to dock. We have to ingress. We have to do those things anyway. But the point of the sequence is to really recognize the production risk in the Enterprise and the development risk. The production risk is the flight rate on the Earth Ascent Systems, SLS Orion. The development risk is prop transfer. So the way to burn a common target there, if you will, is to conduct a mission that accepts those risks as real, but still make as much progress as we can, but to challenge both the production side and the development side at the same time.
Take our next question. Yes.
Thanks. Irene Klotz with the
You've been listening to NASA officials with an Artemis II update. Again, it has now been delayed, back in the shop at this moment, but when it is launched, it will go on its mission to the moon, which has been highly anticipated. We do need to take a quick break here. 11:48 is the time. We'll be right back here on Live Impact News. We are back here on Live Impact News, and we're going to go to Georgia again, where the trial against Colin Gray is taking place. Again, the father who faces nearly 30 counts, including second-degree murder after his son allegedly shot and killed multiple people at a high school outside of Atlanta. Let's listen to him as he is still on the stand.
Girls, and Jenny was kind of special to me, and so I wanted her to feel that I loved her and she was safe there and didn't have to deal with anything. So I said, you live with 3 boys now, so I'm going to give you the master bedroom, the master bath, so you have privacy. I heard and listened and been around sisters my whole life, so I know she was reaching that age. And I wanted her to have that privacy, to not have to deal with Colt and all of us. So I made sure she had her own space in there to do whatever she needed to do. So yes, I did.
And did you and Jenny ever argue? Did y'all have any problems?
Jenny and I was kind of a shocking thing to hear her talk about. Colt didn't really go with Jenny and Coley and I. It's rare, if at all, that we miss church. Our Sunday was go to church. She's a big reader. I would take them to the Barnes and Noble right across from Athens Church, spend money on books for her, spend the day there. So we just had a really good relationship where she saw what I was doing for her and with her, and bought her an iPhone. I didn't buy anybody else an iPhone. I had to save a little bit longer. She was very patient and waited. But I just tried to do extra things. So Jenny and I really never had a rift, and I could talk to her about things, and she could talk to me about things. Jenny is wise beyond her years. She's very calm and perceptive and understood a lot more than people give her credit for. She's a smart kid too. So in my mind, we had a great relationship.
Okay. Is there any, if you can remember, any red flag or anything that Colt did that would make you believe that he would ever be capable of doing this act?
No, I struggle with it every day. I've never seen that video until yesterday. He's a good kid. He wasn't perfect. I'm normal as I. But he did do something that heinous. Like I don't know if anybody could ever see that kind of evil. And the Colt I knew, the relationship I had, there's this whole other side of Colt I didn't know existed. So, no.
Was everything you did for Colt, did you try to placate him and try to make him okay?
Did. Just wanted him okay.
Thank you.
Nothing further. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a lunch recess. We'll be in recess till 1 o'clock.
Okay, they are taking a break there. Remember, the prosecution has called all of its witnesses. This is the defense taking Colin Gray to the stand so that he can speak for himself in this case. I do believe he's their only witness that they're going to be calling. So clearly this is a big day for the defense, big day for Colin Gray. And we'll see if he will wrap up today or if they will continue beyond today, surely. Again, this case has been closely monitored across the country. It's another one of those cases where prosecutors are looking to hold parents accountable for these school shootings. In this case, you've had testimony, including from Colt Gray. That was the teenage son. Colt Gray's mother, who has also spoken, again, from the stand, saying that they knew that their kid had mental health struggles, that there was already concern communicated amongst the parents about some of the concerns that they had, that he also was showing more aggression as of late prior to the shooting. And we have seen images from the trial of Colt Gray's bedroom that showed Parkland High School shooter Nicholas Cruz in his room. And prosecutors saying that this is someone that he looked up to, that he had positive thoughts about. And so they are alleging that the father, knowing all of this, should be held responsible because he still gave his son for Christmas a assault-style weapon, which months later Colt Gray is said to have used in the shooting deaths of 4 people and then injuring multiple others there in Georgia at Appalachia High School. That's outside of the Atlanta area to, I believe, the east there. But so that's the case that is still going on. Again, they have gone for recess at the moment, and we also need to go. We're out of time here for live Impact News. And as we leave out here, again, we always say thank you for joining us for this broadcast on 13 News Now Plus, or if you're watching us on YouTube, although we'd love for you to download our app. As we leave, we're showing you again, this is a live feed there. Hope for Life Rescue in Virginia Beach. We are counting down to March 18th, where we will have our Pause for Life charity event. If you want to know more information ahead of it, you can contact that email right on your screen. But we here love this time of year because we're raising money and support for these animals there. So that is on March 18th. Mark your calendars and help us help these animals in our community. With that, thank you so much. My name is Eugene Daniels, sitting across from producer Sarah Calloway. We'll be back on Monday here, 10 a.m. But up next, we have 13 News Now at noon.